Valley. Take questions for Coach Stone.
What does a matchup like this to start the season kind of do for you guys?
Well, it certainly has us on our toes. I think we would try to be that anyway, but when you've got a top team that's perennially known as, a national championship contender, you've got to be sharp in preseason because the slightest mistake, teams like that will take advantage of. So try to be real clean and be ready for it. Obviously, we'll get better as the season goes on. So, opening games can be tricky as the home team or the road team. So,
any big takeaways from the exhibition?
Some things were as we had thought. Some people got minutes that hadn't gotten a lot in the past and did extremely well. Goalkeeper made a phenomenal save in her first game ever with us. So, there were some real positives from the DU game. I thought there were some things organizationally that we needed to clean up, which we've made an attempt to this week. And, you can't really execute the way you want to if you're not organized. And so we focused on that a bit this week.
What does Sam making this World Cup team mean for her and you guys as a program? It's
awesome. I mean, it's not our first player in, those scenarios, but it's certainly just a tremendous statement as to how hard she's trained. She'd never been in a national team camp before she got to college. So in one season, she proved herself to the national team coaches what she was capable of and came in January and took spots away from people that have been in for years. And she's just Sam is one of those people that just never stops working. She has lofty goals and dreams, and she's hell-bent on accomplishing them. So we're so proud of her, and, we'll miss her, obviously, but that's not as important as her having that opportunity and getting picked.
Well, and then for her, she's going to be gone from you guys for a while. How do you kind of view that? Do you view that as kind of building some depth behind her sort of thing?
Yeah. I think nobody's given us any sympathy for that, that's for sure. It's just the way it is. If you got some talented players and they're the right age, they can compete for that U20 team, and you're going to lose them. There are some programs that will not release their players for that, which is blasphemy, in my opinion. We would never do that. So we love it, we celebrate it, and we're training the people that were behind her, and they're excited about getting their chance. And they got 8-9 games to get their chance. So, if we have the right people on the roster, and I believe we do, it will never be easy to lose a player for caliber, but it certainly can be overcome.
Where do you stand on the goalkeeper competition?
Well, Faith played great in the opener. You can only play one keeper at a time, and so for now, it's her spot. But the others are all chasing her and working hard, and there's a limit to how many people we can travel with. So there's the travel roster, then there's the get in the game opportunity, and then there's the win the position opportunity. So, this bunch of four is the closest I've ever seen from number 1 to number 4. I don't even know if I can say who number 3 and 4 are. That's how tight they all are. But Faith proved herself, and we'll go with her again on Thursday.
Who is that number 2?
In the game against DU, it was Sydney. I don't think Blair's announced that for this week yet.
Coach, what's it like just front-loading the schedule with a top 10 matchup right now? I mean, being able to get right out of the gates like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal in some ways, and in other ways, it's like I said, it's got our full attention, maybe more so than before. Last year, we came out and played a really tough road game to start the season, and completely dominated in every category, and we're disappointed to come out with a draw, and that served a purpose. How we come out of this, performance-based, is going to make a difference for us. It's going to give us information we need, and if you get up there and get a result, then obviously you're off and running as far as the season goes.
Coach, in your opinion, what makes this Penn State team so dynamic?
Just experience, veteran players at key positions. Like everybody else, they graduate good players. They go to the pros or go wherever. Coaching staff is not going to be, tricked or, they're not going to run up against something they haven't seen. They're just an experienced veteran program that has always had success. And, the Big Ten plays soccer a little differently than the Big 12, than the ACC, than the SEC. We've all got our nuances. And some of those for Big Ten teams are really tough to battle. I can tell you this right now, I'm glad I'm not going there in November. Because I've seen some games on video at that time of year, and no thank you. They're probably glad they're not here in August, so, it's a two-way street.
Any specific areas you saw and you're like, we want me to do this better?
Yeah, definitely our execution from the flank. I mean, we got Elise in like 4 times. We got Ashley in. We got other people in and around the corner. And as you get the serve, the timing of the serve, the quality of the runs, just the cohesiveness in that final 20 yards to make well-timed run, intentional services, knowing when you've got the other team in trouble and punishing them for that, not letting them off the hook. I think the game, granted they could have scored for sure. I'm sure they feel that way, but we probably could have had 4. And so to have to edge out a 1-0 win when we could have 3 or 4 is something that we paid a lot of attention to this week. But, Faith bailed us out too. That was a goal for them, and so they definitely could have got on the board as well.
Since you're not going to have Sam for a little while, you're still kind of waiting for Macy to kind of come back. Is it safe to say that this team, what it looks like now, is going to look very different at a different point in the year.
Yeah, I think that's the take for any team. You think of our team last year in the second round of the NCAA tournament, we were way different than we were on opening day in Albuquerque. Every team has to grow. Every team has to come together. Every team has to get more organized, and you got to go through some tough times to do that. And so on that level, this will be no different. But in terms of will some really good talent return to the team as we go along, it will. And those will be boosts of energy. Those will be shots of adrenaline each time somebody returns to the lineup. So we're definitely not complaining about that.
Have you had maybe a situation in the post out where you're waiting still for your safety backs and have you had a situation like that where you know they're coming back?
Yeah, anytime someone gets hurt in the season prior, you're probably going to get them back the next year. You just don't know when. So I think most teams in the NCAA soccer are waiting on somebody right now. Oklahoma State's been devastated by injuries the last few years. Nobody wants to be in that situation, but I've sat there before and walked past the bench before kickoff and saw like 7 scholarships sitting there. We only have 14 for the record. So everybody's been in that hole. We're not in that deep of a hole, but we are eager to get going with what we have because the girls are playing great, and we're also excited that Macy will be returning to the team.
Anything else, guys? All right. Thanks, Coach.